Welcome to part 2. Now the next task is a formal letter, and the task is: you are a cat lover, but you are certainly not a lover of cat cafes. Write a formal letter to the editor of your local newspaper to address your concern about their increased popularity. And the words I want you to try and include are outcry and proliferation. And the magic ingredients are connectives, opinion, complex sentences, and declaratives. Now let's take a read of the model. Dear editor, there has recently been a national outcry with regards to an influx of cat cafes sweeping the nation. Many people are calling for an outright ban to prevent the proliferation of this terrible fad. Whilst I understand that cat cafes are by no means a new trend, I am incredibly worried for the well-being of the animals themselves and obvious hygiene issues. Firstly, when there is a culture of continuing awareness around food hygiene, having cats in a cafe seems like an odd choice. Cats are known for walking all over the counter, tables, and wherever they feel like it. Their feces carry toxoplasmosis, which can make those with compromised immunity unwell and even cause blindness, hearing loss, and mental disability in children. No one likes finding hair in their food. With cats wandering all over the cafe, you are likely to find cat hair in your food or drink. Moreover, some cat welfare organisations do not agree with the phenomenon. The leading cat charity in the UK, the Cats Protection League, says that the changing population of people and being shut in cat cafes are not suitable spaces for cats. They also say that even more so than dogs, cats need stability. Others also raise concerns that cats could find high numbers of unfamiliar people wanting to pet them stressful. Cats are known to feign sleep, whilst in reality feeling stressed and hypervigilant to the strangers around them. Kind of an odd choice for a task, I know, but I recently went to a cafe and I'm still on the seesaw. Are they okay? Are they not? That's up to you to decide. Looking at the magic ingredients, connectives, firstly, opinion. Having cats in a cafe seems like an odd choice. Complex sentences, of course, you would expect to find in formal letter writing. Whilst I understand that cat cafes are by no means a new trend, remember complex sentences will have a dependent clause and an independent clause as a very minimum, and declaratives, of course, are statements. No one likes finding hair in their food. Now let's move on to newspaper report writing. By gosh, this is definitely a text type that causes lots of issues with students. Every single year it comes up. Thankfully, it doesn't come up that often. That's not to say that it won't come up soon. It's been a while, so who knows what's going to happen. The task is: man assaulted and has his 2 beloved chihuahuas stolen. Write a newspaper report detailing the breaking news. Very newsworthy stuff, I'm sure you would agree. So the 2 words that I want you to try and include as part of the vocabulary challenge are allegedly, which is an adverb, and the noun corroborate. The magic ingredients I want you to include are embedded clause, what I call journalistic phrases, direct speech, reported speech, and a catchy headline. Let's take a look at the model. Now you'll notice this model is slightly longer. That's because newspaper report writing is quite difficult and the paragraphs are smaller anyway, so I just thought I'd do a full piece, and almost, well, I say full piece, you would be expected to write slightly more for question 3. So, barking mad thief steals 2 pet chihuahuas. A British man was arrested yesterday after he reportedly assaulted a local man before breaking into his home and stealing his 2 pet chihuahuas from his home in London. Remember that opening paragraph, the who, what, where, when and why. Police arrested a 37-year-old man at his house and is believed to have been charged with theft and assault. The man, who was not named in the police report, is said to be awaiting trial for the crimes. According to the report, 39-year-old James A. Roberts filed a complaint shortly after the altercation, claiming that he was attacked before having his pet stolen. An investigation of the disturbance found that the unnamed man had allegedly begun violently hitting Roberts outside of his home in order to gain access to his home. After checking CCTV footage, police discovered that a man had entered Roberts' home at about 5:30 p.m. Shortly after, the man was seen leaving the scene with a large carrier. After a lengthy investigation, we were able to corroborate Roberts' version of events, police said. Roberts commented that he was glad to have his 2 chihuahuas back. The police are asking people to be extra vigilant as dog crimes are on the increase. So in the red there, we have the embedded clause, the man who was not named in the police report. Remember, everything after the relative pronoun is extra information. You take that away and the sentence still makes sense. We've got journalistic phrases which should be peppered throughout. Reportedly, according to, etc. Direct speech. After a lengthy investigation, we were able to corroborate. So these words come straight from the person's mouth. They've not been paraphrased or anything. Reported speech has been paraphrased. Roberts commented that he was glad to have his 2 chihuahuas back. And of course, we've got the catchy headline there. Barking mad thief steals 2 pet chihuahuas. So we've got a play on word there, or a pun. I think newspaper report writing is difficult for a number of reasons. I won't go into all of them, but we don't really read newspapers, or students don't really read newspapers these days. It's objective. You've got to use that passive voice. It's quite difficult, I think, to get the style just right. My advice, read newspapers or read news websites. And it really is practice makes perfect. So the next task is a formal report. And the task is, you have been asked to visit a school to assess their extracurricular program, looking at what is working and what needs improving. Write a formal report detailing your findings. Another difficult text type. It doesn't come up as frequently as some of the other ones, but you still need to be au fait with formal report writing. Again, practice makes perfect. So the words I want you to try and use are ascertain, which is the verb, and the adjective adequate. And the magic ingredients are title and subheadings, connectives, complex sentences, and bullet points. So some presentational features there as well. And I've tried to write a complete formal report because it is quite tricky and it wouldn't be entirely helpful just providing you with the first paragraph, the overview. So let's take a read. So at the top, you'll have your date and some sort of title about what the report is about. So in this case, it's the extracurricular program at the School of YouTube. Let's take a read. So starting with the overview. The report found that the extracurricular program currently implemented at the School of YouTube was deemed adequate in all areas observed. A number of inspections were carried out across the whole week to ascertain the quality of provision available for students after school. The report will include several strengths identified and conclude with steps the school needs to action in order to strengthen its extracurricular program. Let's have a read of the academic provision. The academic provision currently provided at the School of YouTube is presently adequate. There are a number of small classes run after school to help students who are struggling academically. Whilst it was agreed that the provision in the classes was generally good, the academic provision for subjects outside of the core subjects was limited. During the classes observed, students seemed engaged and the content was purposeful and often engaging. There are a number of sport clubs available for students to join depending on their interest. The choices varied and most of the clubs seemed well organised. Most of the clubs across the week had a healthy number of students partaking, and students clearly enjoyed the activities observed. However, it was noted that some of the equipment needed replacing, particularly the goalposts used for the school's football club. And lastly, the summary and recommendations. Overall, the report found that the School of YouTube is currently providing opportunities for its students to partake in various extracurricular activities. Students get a lot out of many of the clubs on offer. To improve, the School of YouTube should ensure that there is a broader range of academic sessions available after school. And lastly, they need to replace old equipment routinely. And guys, the basic structure of a report is an overview, what the report is about, the problems highlighted, and the sort of recommendations. How is, a company going to improve? And of course, you can add additional subheadings to divide the information. That's absolutely fine. Let's have a look at the magic ingredients quickly. So we've got connectives. However, you would be expected to use connectives throughout. We've got complex sentences throughout, the one that I've highlighted in purple, whilst it was agreed that the provision in these classes was generally good. We've got bullet points at the end. And I do recommend you using bullet points when you are providing ways in which the school or company or whatever can improve. And of course, we've got the title and the different subheadings as well.